Wow, this is spectacular. France Argentina, a repeat of the 2018. This is gonna be awesome. You have such a storyline here where France knocks Argentina out with that spectacular 4-3 match. We remember that Pavard hit, that curler that he gets. I think it was with his left, and he's had a pretty good career since then. He's one of those guys. He reminds me a lot of Malouda for France during 2006. He had a really good tournament, and then he goes on to have like some great years of football there. But you got to know that Argentina wants revenge from not being able to get to the final 4 years back. Messi, that entire storyline. You don't need me to explain that one to you. You know about him wanting to get the one trophy which has evaded him throughout his career, the crown in his tiara, the pearl at the center of his tiara, you could say, would be the World Cup. And the best player in the world currently alive, without debate. Now, if you want to talk about Maradona, that's another story. And I think that there's a lot of arguments for both there. But currently the best player alive deserves it. If now I'm getting caught up in my words. You deserve it if you go out on the pitch and you win, right? But everything that he's done, I think that he should win because of his influence in football, because of the insane talent that this guy possesses. I was sitting in a car dealership today. Let me tell you this story. And I just start chatting with this guy as we're watching. What's up, Ben? And we're watching Croatia, Morocco, and there's like 5 or 6 people around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe another set piece play. I mean, this guy started talking, and he's like, oh, you got to see this, buddy. And he takes out his phone, a complete stranger, shows me his phone, and he's like, here, hold it. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. And it's like this entire video of Messi doing these unbelievable like magician tricks, like kicking a bottle of Pepsi and it flips and lands correctly on the right way, and all these different trick shots. I'm like, this guy, he's not real. I would love to see Argentina win, guys. I don't want to see France win. I don't think anybody except the French want to see France win, right? And they're an incredible team. They have to be the favorites. I know that the score lines have been up and down. Even today, earlier this morning, the favorites were actually Argentina. Yesterday, the favorites were France. So it's been back and forth. And at one time, they were both plus 116 or minus 116, one of those. But they were dead even. So it's really hard to call. The experts, the guys who study odds and the bookmakers in Las Vegas, they don't even know what to make of this. So it's going to be insane. I've got the predicted starting lineup. There we go, from Sportmole down below. And I'll run through France's. And guys, thanks for joining in, by the way. If you are watching this in a recording, leave a comment, let me know what you think who's going to win. But France's possible starting lineup: Lloris, Koundé, Varane, Upamecano, who I'm not so familiar with. So if you know a lot about him, also leave me some info. Hernandez. And then in the midfield of the two, so it looks like a 4-2-3-1, Tchouaméni, Rabiot, Dembele, Griezmann, sliding in the center role there with Mbappe on the side, and then Giroud getting the start. Benzema comes back. However, it's not likely that he will start. Also, it should be said that Giroud is in really good form, not just internationally in this tournament, but also back home in Serie A. He's been doing very well too. So yeah, 4-2-3-1 on paper, it's really like a 4-3-3 with the amount that Griezmann comes back and the triangles and passing combinations that he's been offering France in the center of the pitch there. And I think that's been a secret to Deschamps. And I read a really interesting statistic on him. One of only 3 men to be a World Cup winning player and manager. And keep in mind that he has gotten this far, without Pogba, without Kanté, who in my opinion, I think Kanté is the best midfielder, overall center midfielder in the world, and Benzema, who is the Ballon d'Or winner. And one of the main reasons that Real Madrid went on to win the Champions League again. What a comeback, incredible story that was last season. One of my favorite, I'm not a Real Madrid fan, but I really enjoyed watching them in that tournament last year. And you see these guys like Tchouaméni and Camavinga explode onto the scene. So I thought that was really cool, to be honest. Ben's rooting for Argentina strictly for Dybala. And what role will Dybala play? I think that if Argentina struggles, he will come on. If Argentina gets pegged back, you could see him. However, I think he's even second string when it comes to substitutes, as we've seen so far in this tournament. Will Di Maria get the start? I'm not so sure, but there's no way, whether they're up or they're down, that I see Messi come out. And Dybala is Messi's backup. If you look at the positions that both of them take, they're very similar to one another. The Dybala at Roma and the positions that he takes and his movement is so similar to what Messi is doing for Argentina right now and what he's done throughout his entire very long career, which is finding space, finding when the ball and all of the rest of the team is on one side, Messi drifts and he goes into like this stealth mode, and I don't know why he's not marked man to man. I'm going to assume that's because of modern tactics, which are zonal, that he's allowed to run free, or he's allowed that foot of space that he needs to exploit those gaps, get in behind defenders, drag one on one. What he did to the 20-year-old Croatian Givairo, having a hard time pronouncing his name, but was ludicrous. I mean, you're talking about a youngster who has all of the energy in the world versus a guy in his mid-30s. I'm 32. I cannot keep up with guys that are that age. No way. Obviously, I'm not a professional. I'm just saying that as you get older, your body changes. Your top speed drops metabolically. These are changes with you. So for him to go out there and still play like this is just insane. I cannot wait. Oh, well, double-edged sword. Because eventually one day I would love to see DePaul. I'm always going on about DePaul, and I would love to see him at Roma. But I would like to see him have a big game and to show the world that he is a baller. And he's been Messi's bodyguard. He's been doing so well at that. And I think it's time to take a look at this and dissect this starting lineup, predicted starting lineup. Martinez in goal, who's been very good. Molina, the ex-Udinese player who's at Atletico, very good. Love him. Romero, now at Tottenham. Otamendi, who's having a fantastic tournament. Acuna, who comes back from suspension. DePaul, Enzo Fernandez, Alexis McAllister, who I think have been playing really well in supporting Alexis McAllister. Hell of a player, no? This guy's been really good. I didn't even know who he was at Brighton under De Zerbi now. And with those three, DePaul, Fernandez, and McAllister, they've done a really good job at supporting Messi, Di Maria, who should be getting the start there, and Alvarez, who is a fantastic player, Julian Alvarez. Manchester City, they took a gamble. I mean, a gamble for them is not a gamble for other teams. Like, yeah, he wasn't a proven player. He's not like going and poaching, one of the world's top forwards. But what they did was they set themselves up with him and Haaland for like now until the rest of eternity, until we can hope that the world continues for the next 10 years with the way things are going. But they have set themselves up so well financially. And this is just a tremendous player that Argentina have there. I've heard people say, and Coach K, if you ever see him in the comments here, that Argentina is not necessarily the most technical or the best team that there's ever been. And there's something to say for that, right? Because if you look at these individuals, like we didn't really know McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, not truly on the scene as like an elite level player. Di Maria, yes, of course, but Alvarez, of course, another one of those. The defenders, very good. I think one of the secrets has been the strength of Argentina's center backs, which out of nowhere they got very deep with. I would say historically, Argentina has not been as deep in the center back position as they have been in the playmaker or the number 9 spot. But this tournament is a little bit different. And like I said, I really like Christian Romero. He was such a good player for Atalanta. Have they recovered with him? Well, Demiral has done a good job, but I think they lost. They made a lot of money off of him, but at the same time, there's something to be said for losing a big player and not building on the chemistry and the cohesiveness of a team when you do have players stick around for a while. And but now we see Atalanta way up high because they're taking advantage of not playing in Europe. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it's going to be so even. I think predictions, it's out the window. Who could really tell? And why am I not putting up my nifty? Where do we got? Yeah, there they are. Those are our guys. Number 10 and 21. That would be such a cool jersey to get. Dybala's once it goes on sale, because, after the tournament, all the jerseys go on sale. Probably not Messi's, which Adidas have had trouble. I was reading they can't even satisfy the number that are in demand. So it's pretty nuts. You can't even walk it. When I was growing up in the United States, you would never see kids in football jerseys. Now it's so common. You see Messi, Ronaldo. I see kids at the mall with Juventus jerseys, or just walking around playing at the park. It's a totally different thing compared to like 20, 25 years ago when I was growing up. But it's very good to see, because it's a sport that gives a lot back. Before I go on any further, though, I just want to say, R.I.P. Sinisa Mihajlovic. He was a tremendous influence, not just as a player, but in Italian football. What he did for Serie A is, on top of what he did as a player, but also giving back as a coach. He was very good friends with many of the higher ups, such as like Zanetti. They were close. We see De Rossi expressing his sentiment and his grief, seeing one of his mentors pass away. Leukemia is a terrible disease, very hard to fight against. So you could see someone like, who's healthier at that age, 53. He probably got leukemia around 50 to 51 years old. Who's healthier than a player, an ex-player, who's still out on the training ground? And it shows you that it's like, the Lord gives and he takes, man. And it's a little scary, because you never know. But Mihajlovic, I think a lot of the tweets are Instagram and social media posts are just about his left foot. And I feel like, not that that's a little cringe, but I feel like it's missing. It's just like exploiting him a little bit. And you should go back and see every team that he played for and look back at the Scudetto he won with Inter and Lazio and his time at Roma. I was looking at a cool Panini sticker, and I honestly knew but forgot that he had a short time with Roma and his impact on Italian football. But on top of that, Mario Sconcerti also passed away, who is a popular Roma journalist who wrote mostly for Corriere della Sera. And unfortunately, you hear of twos and deaths come in threes. You don't want to think like that, but anyway, something a bit more positive. Back to Argentina. That most recent showdown was in the last 16, by the way, between Argentina and France. I thought that was the semifinal. That's the round of 16. Imagine seeing those two knock each other out. Should France have gotten this far? I wonder if it was in the stars for England really to be here. And if that Harry Kane penalty and the way that England played against France, if that was not the better team. But these are the returning champs, man. They have it in their DNA at this point. They know what to do. And that makes me feel like France is the favorites. I'm going to move on now. So Roma Femminile have been doing a tremendous job. They have just advanced into the quarter finals of the Champions League, winning 5-0 big time over St. Polten. And this is their debut season in the Champions League. Great job for the girls. Very proud of them. I've mentioned in some of my recordings recently, I'm trying to cover more of them, getting familiar with the players. Manuela Giuliano, she was named player of the match, and she played all 90 minutes. She scored 2 goals, created 1 assist. Very good stuff. Elisa Bartoli, the captain, she said being among the top 8 in Europe on your debut in a competition like this is a dream. I didn't think it was possible at the beginning of the season. We're a wonderful discovery, a wonderful surprise. There have been 5 intense years in which we have always worked to reach these levels. We succeeded, but it's not over, and we want to continue. By the way, check out The Guardian, just recently wrote up, really good author. She had about maybe a half to 1 page, not too long of an article, but a little update about where Roma Femminile come from, their success in just a short amount of time, and how they really want to be one of the elite female teams. So anyway, going to move on now to a little bit more of Totti's charity match and his comments. This made waves. A lot of people felt that he was calling out Zaniolo for his lack of mental strength, but he goes on to clarify this. And that all came from this live stream with BPI TV. And he also spoke about Dybala's impact on the capital, as well as his relationship with Spalletti, which was under so much criticism back in the day, about 5-6 years ago now. It's kind of crazy how time's flying by. Wijnaldum, we're not getting to you yet, but oh yeah, and an overlay for that. But I don't think I have a Totti overlay. Shame on me. Anyway, he said, Spalletti, I'd like to talk to him again, and I think it will happen soon. He made a better player, and I was at my best with him. He switched roles for me, and I had a great relationship with him. I was sad that it ended the way it did. He is still one of the best coaches around. No one is capable of fielding a team like he does. So remember that during Spalletti's first tenure in Rome, he revolutionized the way that Totti played from a number 10 real support forward into the centerpiece of the attack. It was a really false nine position before the false nine became ubiquitous with Messi, and other teams would go on to use it and have success with it. That really did come from Spalletti. And Totti, of course, had his best years. In my opinion, those are the best years of his career throughout his prime with Spalletti. So there's much to be said about what happened after that, though, in the second tenure, where, of course, Totti was kind of made to retire. I think a lot of that came from the management. I think they wanted to phase him out. So then he goes on to clarify what he meant about Zaniolo, and this is being reported through Corriere dello Sport. He says, sometimes what I say can be exploited for headlines, but maybe it's better that you don't let me talk anymore then. I simply said that in order to be great, you have to grow under all points of view, on and off the pitch. That's all I meant. Meanwhile, Corriere della Sera reports that Roma are going to earn about 1 million euros because of the players that they have had involved in the World Cup. For every day that you have a player from your club in the World Cup, you get 10,000 euros. So that has added up at this point. So Roma can now pay off all the fines that they've gotten in the past 2-3 years for whatever, I don't know, player mishaps, crowd control, whatever it is. But I'm sure the Friedkins appreciate that nice little boost there, a little stimulus check, that 1 million euros there. There were also some reports earlier this week that Mourinho could perhaps join Portugal while managing Roma. He has since extinguished a lot of that, what do you call it? Not controversy, but talk, chiacchiere, chat about him possibly doing that. It's important to remember that Mourinho has a buyout clause. His contract also runs until 2024, which will be the end of next summer. So for another year and a half, I don't think Mourinho has any ambitions to leave, not the slightest. He's still in the process of making the team that he wants. I have a feeling that this winter mercato, you're going to see I'm going to go with 2 important players arrive. Roma not in the best shape right now. Standings, not too good. It's been a tough road. I think that once Dybala went out, it showed some dependency. But tell me a top team which is decked out in quality. Let's take one of the best teams that's able to lose their star player and still have maximum output. And I can't think of many, But on the good news here, we've got Wijnaldum looking really good in practice. He's pumped. He's out on Twitter talking about it. I think that this was crushing for him, this injury. I think he had a lot of motivation heading into this season, and it was demoralizing once he broke his thigh bone. And we see him back out here, jumping, running. I think he has a meeting with a doctor soon, if I'm not incorrect, where he'll be able to get the all clear to participate in January. What's going on in Portugal? Not so good. I don't even know if I want to comment on it, but it hasn't been too good with a lot of the rotational players getting time for Roma on this 3-match friendly tour in Portugal after the one that was in Japan. A lot of stuff needs to be ironed out. We know that. But, for Roma to have their best player still in the tournament, in the final, I think is very cool. I'll be rooting for Argentina, rooting for Dybala, rooting for Messi all the way through. Let me know what you think. I'm going to look through my little outline that I have here. I'm using actually my gimbal today, which is cool. Check this out. It's on a tripod. It should follow me. Nope, it's not following. Yeah. It's following me a little bit. Yeah, it's cool, right? Future. Yeah. Calibrates. Follows follows my face, in theory. Yeah. Anyway, guys, write in some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think that this game is going to go. Who you think is going to be on the score sheet, what you think the amount of goals will be, the over-under, if it's going to be less than 2 goals, let's say. If this one's going into a penalty shootout, who would you take in a penalty shootout? For me, the team that has already done it will definitely feel less pressure. In the very doldrums, way back in my mind, I get fear that something bad could happen in the way that it did for Baggio, where sometimes when people seem superhuman and almost like they're angelic and magicians, that something always comes down to bring people back to earth. And I don't want to see that happen. I want to see the mystical, maybe, the mythical story of Messi continue. I want to see that go down in the history books. Anyway, thanks for jumping in, guys. It was a cool live stream. I've missed doing these. Of course, I'll be back when Roma is playing. Recorded previews, lives after the match, breaking everything down. Let me know what you think. Ciao, guys. Thank you.